Hello, welcome to another video. I recently used this beautiful reference photo and it occurred to me that a lot of people are unsure about using white watercolor or heard that it should not be used by real artists. Today I will show you how I like to use white watercolor. Watch until the end for a bonus color. First off, watercolor is translucent, so is white watercolor. When you mix white with your colorful watercolors, you get a pastel color. Let's mix up some pastel blue by adding blue pigment to the white watercolor. I like to add the white first, as you only need very little of the next pigment. It prevents me from adding too much blue. As I add the mix to the paper, I keep adding water to the brush to show you all the possible colors you can get from this one mixture. By the way, I decided against using color correction for this video to show you a realistic result. Let's create a gradient using the blue color without any white added. You can clearly see the difference. Even more when you look at the palette. When you add more water to the pigment, both colors become lighter, but the one with the white simply looks different. Let's paint a gradient again and add even more white to the mix. This will show the difference even more. The reason why a lot of artists don't use white watercolor is simple. You can get a lighter color by adding water. As you can see, the color you get from a watercolor mix with white versus a mix without white watercolor is in fact similar, but not the same. A lot of times when I paint, I pre-select and pre-mix my colors. Let's experiment with the selected colors and add different amounts of white. Today I'm using blue, magenta and white. For more complex paintings like botanicals, I find it helpful to experiment with the colors and create a little color card for each painting. This allows me to see how many different colors I can get from the pre-selected ones. Limiting your color palette makes it easier for you, my viewers, to follow, and can make the painting look more cohesive and put together. I also simply like the challenge of a limited color palette. For the next row, let's add even more white. Keep the ratio of your paint in mind while you mix with white. When you continue to mix and add more colors, you have to add more white as well to get the mix even. Let's say, for example, the pigments in your mix are 1/3 white, 1/3 blue and 1/3 magenta. When you add more blue to darken the mix, you also need to add more white to keep the mix consistent, or it will not be the same pastel color as before. Changing the 1/3 blue and 1/3 magenta ratio around means you need to add more blue or magenta pigment, resulting in more watercolor overall. You would also have to add more white in that case to maintain 1/3 white. Hard to explain, I hope that made sense. Blue and magenta are on opposite sides of the color wheel. Adding a little bit of one color to the other will simply darken it. When you add a little bit of magenta to the blue, it will darken the blue. The more you add, the more the colors change completely. Adding white to the mix adds another layer of complexity. Basically, I change the base color, for example blue, to a dark blue by adding a little bit of magenta. Then I turn it into a pastel color by adding white. The last colors I'm mixing are the original blue and magenta colors. I add white watercolor just to add the original colors to the chart. And now to the bonus color. There is one color I find very frustrating to mix, because it feels like I just can't get it right. It's peach. Let's play around a little with the cadmium yellow and ochre rose. There are so many different shades of peach you can mix with different watercolors, but this mix is my favorite. For the longest time it felt like everyone tells me how to mix it perfectly and which colors to use, but my results were just so different. Something surprising I found doing a lot of testing is the importance of water added to the mix. you can have the most perfect ratio of cadmium yellow and ochre rose. Without enough water, it will just look off. If your mix looks off too, try adding water. This is something I wish someone would have told me a long time ago. It's so simple and so obvious, but well. I'm also trying to add white, as you can see. It results in a pastel peach color. It is pretty pale, but still vibrant. If you're having trouble mixing a common color as well, you can try what I did here for the lemon yellow. I created myself a sample card with different mixes so that I always have it at hand when I'm looking for a certain shade of yellow. It saves you the time of doing some testing for each painting. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I hope you found it useful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you soon with the next video, in which I paint a lake landscape with today's watercolor mixes.